Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called 5 Things I've Only Seen in the Netherlands as an American and I'm Still Surprised by Them. And yeah, I've watched a couple of this lady's videos before and they're always very interesting, informative. So 5 things she's only seen in the Netherlands and is still surprised. Tell me if you've only seen these things in the Netherlands. Tell me again, yeah, if there's anything you know that you only get in Netherlands, you don't get anywhere else, that's not mentioned on this video. Yeah, I would love to know. Let's watch this one.
Hi everyone, I'm Ava and I'm an American living in the Netherlands. And today I wanted to talk to you about some things that I feel like I've only seen in the Netherlands. But first, I'm going to get myself a little treat at this cute little vegan cafe down the street. So let's go. And in case you were wondering, I got myself a box full of pastel de natas. So it's a great day to be me.
They look good.
Obviously, they're not just for me and my girlfriend, they're just for me. Okay, well, enough about the pastel de natas, which, by the way, were so good. I wanted to tell you about these things that I feel like either only happen in the Netherlands or only Dutch people do. And the first thing I wanted to tell you about was how in the Netherlands, as opposed to in other countries, when let's say as a tourist, you might walk into a store and then you might ask, let's say if I as an American was in Italy, I might ask the person working at the store, do you speak English? And then we would continue our conversation there because I don't speak any Italian. However, I feel like the Netherlands is one of the few, if not the only place in the world where you walk into a store and then sometimes they might ask you what language you speak so that they could communicate to you in that language. Because I feel like the average Dutch person speaks at least a few languages. Now you might be thinking, Ava, are you serious? And yes, I am. I've seen this happen where people, like Dutch people, are talking to their customers in a language that's not English and Dutch. I actually have a story to share with you about this. In the US, I actually knew someone who is this middle-aged man who looks very Dutch, this tall, very white, blonde person with blue eyes. And he told my girlfriend, we were all in the US together, my girlfriend is Dutch, so he told my Dutch girlfriend that when he was in the Netherlands, people kept thinking he was Dutch. So when he would go into stores, the people working at the store would just speak to him in Dutch. A perfectly reasonable assumption considering he looks like the stereotypical Dutch person. But then he would say, oh, I don't speak Dutch. And then they would apologize to him and say, oh no, tell me, what language do you speak so that we can speak to you in that language? And he was amazed by this, so he told us the story, and again, it stayed with me. And I've really seen this happen here in the Netherlands. I feel like some of the more common languages that Dutch people speak are German, French, and Spanish, in addition to English and Dutch. So you can pretty much get around a lot of Europe with those languages. Oh, of course, let's not forget Italian. Maybe some people know some Swedish. It really is a wide range. And I think in school, you have to learn as a Dutch person, when you're kind of half a person, kid. As a Dutch kid, you need to learn English and Dutch, and then you have to take another language as well. So I think many people take French or German. Spanish, I think, is another common option. But it's also because Dutch and German are so similar that I think Dutch people kind of understand a lot of German passively anyway. So in the end, they end up speaking like 3.5 languages. I have to say that as an American, I am of course very impressed by this because Americans speak English, we may speak some Spanish, but when we say we speak a little bit of Spanish, we're talking ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? We're not talking when a Dutch person says, oh, I speak a little bit of English, and then they continue to speak in perfect, flawless English, making me, a native English speaker, look bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Again, I think that one's also interesting, not just because of the ability to speak different languages, just the politeness, the thoughtfulness to actually be able to change to that person rather than just speaking English by default or just keeping on speaking Dutch. Being able to have that ability to speak like German, French, Italian, Spanish, very impressive. Like, again, what did you learn in school? Was it like Dutch, English? What other language did you learn? Is it just the similarity to other European languages that makes it easier to learn? Is it the exposure to more people from different languages or from different countries who speak different languages that makes it easier to learn also? Like, I'm from the UK, I'm from Scotland. In school, we only had the option outside of English to learn French or German. I chose French, so I have a basic understanding, but I wouldn't go any further than that. But yeah, I something that is very impressive I find in Netherlands. And yeah, do you think that people in Netherlands just take it for granted that you can speak like 2 or 3 languages?
So number 1 was how I was impressed by Dutch people. Number 2 is a little bit more how I was shocked by Dutch people. Because here in the Netherlands, they swear and curse just like everywhere else in the world. It is a completely unexceptional linguistic phenomenon. However, what is not unexceptional is that in the Netherlands, they swear and curse with diseases. And I have to say that when I hear this out in the wild, because it is a very common occurrence, I am always a little shocked. Not because I'm a prude or anything, or I think there's anything wrong with cursing. I personally think it's a very natural way of expressing emotion, as long as you have a wide variety of range to express emotion. Basically, I think there's nothing wrong with it, but I still can't help being a little taken aback when I hear people shouting to another person, go get typhus or tuberculosis. And it just seems odd and a little strange. And I have to say that most of these diseases are diseases from the past. It probably is not a coincidence. It probably has some historical relationship to the present, of course. However, when people start cursing with cancer, and I think some Dutch people have expressed that to me as well, that's a more harsher level of swearing.
For sure.
So if you swear using cancer, which is something we still experience in our society, that's like really, really tough and harsh. So I am not a native user of cursing with diseases. So, and I also have never tried to do this in Dutch because it just seems wrong. It seems like I'm pretending to sound more Dutch, but like in what way? So I just don't do it. I have the F word in English, Moving on.
That is actually quite surprising. I've never heard of that in any other country before. Do you know if any other countries people use that disease as an insult? Where did that originate from in Netherlands? What's the worst you've ever been called or ever called someone? Why would you do it? Yeah, like, again, that kind of shocked me because it's like so different from anything I've heard in any other language. Being from the UK, we have a lot of insults. We get a lot of insults. We give a lot to our friends and so on. It's maybe not as harsh as cancer. Like, you'll see the Gordon Ramsay meme where he calls someone a donut. We'll call them just random things, but calling someone tuberculosis, that's actually, impressive in a way. Like, you need to have some sort of like minimal medical knowledge to insult people, I guess, or to know what insults people are talking about. Yeah, tell me more about that one.
On to number 3 that I personally am a big fan of, which is food that you can get out of a wall. I'm talking warm meals that you can just
Croquettes.
pick out of a wall and pay with your card. So basically, you walk into this place known as the Febo. There's also the Smullers, which is another company that does the same thing. And it's basically a wall full of food items. And I could just see a food item I like a burger or a kaas soufflé, a cheese soufflé. And I can just, open this little container, grab my burger or cheese soufflé. Clearly, can you tell that I like cheese soufflés? And then I can pay with my card and I'm good to go. All of this takes about 30 seconds. It's ridiculous how easy it is. And it has not been great when I am wandering around, just, with a tiny, tiny hint of hunger in me, or I just feel like having a snack. And there it is, so conveniently located at the station or in the middle of the city. And then I just inevitably keep getting a cheese souffle. So the Febo and the Smullers are really popular in the Netherlands. And I have a feeling that the reason this like food in the wall concept took off was because A, Dutch people are extremely efficient. They don't want to waste any time when they want their food. Sounds a lot like Americans, right? But then also, I feel like they also don't want to talk to people. They don't want to do small talk. They don't want to stand in line at the cash register and have to actually have an exchange. No, they just want the food And they figured out a way to get the food without doing all the talking and standing in line. There you have it. And I feel like, how can America still be the land of fast food when in the Netherlands you have this? The next one.
That actually, it makes a lot of sense, yeah, just being able to get in there and out there quickly, not having to speak to people. Again, I don't think I've seen that sort of thing in any other country. Is it uniquely Netherlands, uniquely Dutch? Where did that originate from? And yeah, I've tried it. I've tried the croquette when I went to Amsterdam before. I'm in the mood for a cheese souffle after her talking about it. That sounds tasty as well. But like, what sort of reputation do those sort of places have with Dutch people? Is it just like fast food? Is it good quality, bad quality? Is that dependent on where you go? How often would you use one yourself as a Dutch person?
On the list is Dutch people's feelings towards wearing a helmet while biking. They don't just have a preference for it, because you know very many people, if it was all the same, would choose not to wear a helmet, obviously. Well, maybe not obvious. Maybe some people enjoy it. Who am I to judge? But in the Netherlands, I find that very many people are almost offended by seeing a person wearing a helmet, or it's their ideology, like not wearing a helmet. And I know many of them, if they go abroad, they struggle with this concept. But I find it particularly interesting that they feel a bit more offended in the Netherlands, because I think this comes from the fact that Dutch people are proud of their biking infrastructure, as they should be. And I think when they see people wearing helmets, it kind of like gets to them. And it's like, no, the roads are safe. Why are you wearing a helmet? Whereas, an American might just be like, I don't know, because I like safety and I want to stay alive. But Dutch people feel like there are things more important than that. Yeah, so for me, the only place I've seen someone actually comment negatively on someone wearing a helmet has been in the Netherlands. So that is how this point got on the list.
That's actually very surprising to me. I did see that on a previous video, that when it was a mother with 3 children on the bike and none of them were wearing helmets, I just thought like naturally you'll just put a helmet on the child in case maybe like they fall out or somehow you fall over. Like, that's the thing. It's not just about the infrastructure. It's like, as a driver, I guess maybe Dutch people are just very confident as cyclists, probably been cycling since young, so just have no thought that they're going to fall over. But for me, I would always just have to be a bit safe and wear the helmet, especially if I've got children as well. But to see that it's like such an anti-helmet thing, it's just very surprising. Do you ever wear a helmet? And yeah, I guess if you just have that real confidence in yourself, and you don't wear a helmet, maybe you'll just take extra care when you're actually cycling, because you definitely cannot fall over. But yeah, very interesting.
And the last thing I wanted to share with you today also has to do with bikes, and in particular bike parking. Because so many people ride their bikes to certain hotspots like the station, you will actually see very interesting ways of parking your bike. I was amazed when I saw bike parking stations where you had to put your bike on top of another. I mean, we've all seen like car garages where you park your car sort of on top of each other, but here they do that with bikes, and also you have to do it yourself, which I found quite intimidating in the beginning, and who am I kidding, still do. I've only done this at Utrecht Centraal, where I've parked my bike on top of another, and it was quite an experience. I had to pull down this like metal thing, and then I had to get my bike, which is this honestly quite heavy Oma fiets, which is like a grandma bicycle, but basically it's very heavy. It's not one of these like light mobile agile bikes. It's a heavy contraption. And I had to take that heavy contraption and put it on top of another contraption and then slide it up. And Dutch people seem to do this in the matter of just seconds. And I'm in the bicycle stall and I see everybody just doing it very quickly. And when I did this for the first time, I was there. It's like, okay, I'm going to pretend I'm just like everybody else. Clearly not. And then, there I was struggling. But then comes the part where once your bike is on this contraption that you're then supposed to like push it, and then it just stays on top of the other bike. And when I successfully did it, I think I did it right, I was amazed, because I just like was able to put this huge heavy bike on top of another bike, and yep, I feel like, is it just me who's kind of intimidated by this? Although I will say after I've done it, it just doesn't seem too bad. But I wonder if Dutch people have feelings and thoughts about this. So if you are Dutch and watching this, let me know in the comments down below. So those are a few things that I've...
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I've definitely seen them when I was in Netherlands. It just makes sense to me, like having it the 2 layers, because there's so many bikes, you just have to conserve space. But yeah, have you ever had any problems with that? Again, like maybe if you're like smaller and can't reach, or the bike's heavier, it might be a bit like unstable, something like that. But yeah, interesting observations. Again, really like her channel, so go subscribe to her channel and tell me what you think about the things she mentioned in this video. Thanks.